6:37 p.m. Hi, everyone. So my name is Richard Dovalli, speaker at Evolution of Leadership, and I'm so excited for tonight's event. I really appreciate every single of you that is making part of Evolution of Leadership tonight. So just a reminder, guys, please let your microphones off unless that you have any questions. But the Q&A session, it will be almost at the end. Be respectful with the speaker while he speaks. No any noises, and we fully encourage you to have your cameras on so we can all engage with each other. So thank you so much to make part of Evolution of Leadership Thursday free event. So tonight we have someone that originates exclusively from the reverse mortgage, and he doesn't sell no other product or services. It is about reverse mortgages. He is a former practicing attorney that concentrates in tax and state planning. Also, he has an international accounting firm that is Ernst and Ernst. I fully excited to announce Alan Altschul for tonight's event. Alan, thank you so much to be part of Evolution of Leadership tonight. We're so glad that you're here with us. Thank you.
Well, Richard, I thank you right back. You made me sound impressive. I'm just a regular guy.
Thank you so much. Not for us, mister, not for us. Thank you so much to be here.
Okay, well, it's my pleasure, and it's truly an honor. And you just let me know when you want me to start. And I don't know if you have, some things you want to do, meeting wise, or so you tell me. I'm ready to go when you say, go.
Perfect. No, please provide us with the pleasure for you starting our event for tonight.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So, here's what I'll tell you. One, let me just tell you a little bit about me, and then let's talk about leadership, or at least my idea of leadership. My idea of leadership is probably not something you're going to find in a book. Okay. It's part based on my experience and basically the way I approach or look at leadership. And, first thing I'm going to tell you, I commend all of you folks for, one, being involved in trying to, at this stage in your careers in college, that you're even thinking about and even getting involved in a program like this to learn about leadership. I'm just going to tell you, when I was in college, I was nowhere near where you guys are. I was lost. I had no direction. Okay. And the fact that you guys are doing this, I really give you a lot of credit, because it's not easy. And leadership to me is really, it's more about your experiences and how you handle it. I really feel, you can read all the books you want. Okay. And I'm not saying that academics and reading books are wrong. Okay. I think there's a tremendous benefit, but at the same time, a lot of things that you read in a book, it's great to have that knowledge, but unless you can access it and apply it and use it, then for me, I feel, okay, you're just wasting your time reading. And that's the way I approach things. I'll tell you, I'm not a young guy. I'm 69. I've got a bunch of experience, okay? In terms of my background, so you know where I come from, and certainly my background, like everyone else's background, I think plays a very important role in your thought process, how you view things, just the way you learn, and also the way you speak and relate to other people. For me, I grew up in the Bronx in New York. I was born in this one apartment. I was an apartment dweller. I lived in the same apartment for over 20 years. And I'm going to tell you, I was a street kid. I grew up in the streets. I'm not a big guy, but I'll just tell you, I was one hell of a ball player. In fact, if I can brag, I was one of the best stickball players from the Bronx. You guys probably don't even know what the hell is stickball, but that's another story. There you go. There you go. All right. Well, fair enough. But for me, I'll say I also grew up in an area that was it was certainly what I'm going to call a very mixed, very integrated area. Um, and I got a good background from a standpoint of the people that I related to, you know, in terms of my friends, came from all different backgrounds. In fact, I'm going to tell you, in high school, I was a minority, being white. Okay. My high school, I was in a high school that was 65% Black and Puerto Rican. And you know what? I loved it. Uh, I, I knew a lot of the tough guys. And I'll just tell you, in terms of what made me survive, was I was a funny guy. Okay. And I like to say I had a fast mouth and very fast feet. When the big guys came to chase me, I was faster than they were. Okay. At the same time, the big guys didn't want to mess with me because I'd knock them down to size, because I'd make fun of them and everyone would laugh at them. So everyone said, hey, I want to be friends with you, because they didn't want me to embarrass them. But anyway, that's, you know, in terms of my idea of leadership, I'll just say, growing up, I never thought about ownership. I never thought about being a CEO. In fact, I'm going to tell you, until I was a sophomore in high school, I never had any thoughts of going to college. You know, I used to work during the summers and during school breaks. I worked in a sandwich shop and I loved it. And I thought, when I get out of high school, I'm just going to keep working in the sandwich shop, and eventually I'll have my own sandwich shop. That was my vision of where I was going to go. And then what happened is, in my sophomore year in high school, and it was just one of these, you know, regular days, I was talking with my dad, and I said something about, you know, hey, I'll have a sandwich shop. And he said, no way. He said, you're going to college. I said, me? I'm going to college? I said, you got the wrong son. I said, I want, and he was adamant about it. And certainly I have to say, I'm very fortunate that, you know, he was very strict about it and didn't give me any option. And before I knew it, here I was, a sophomore in high school. Now I had to start thinking about college. And, you know, college for me was a very, very big transition. Okay. I wasn't ready for it. To a certain degree, I'll say, you know, I've always believed in, and I've always used this as one of my mantras in terms of life, that it's good to be good, but sometimes it's better to be lucky. And I'm going to tell you, I got lucky. In terms of my career path, I had an uncle that was an accountant. I said, you know what? I'm going to be an accountant. I didn't know what the hell accounting was. Okay. But I did okay. And, but leadership and the business world scared the hell out of me. I was lost. I was clueless. I was just being a good student. You know, I was fortunate. I knew how to study. I knew how to take exams. And I also knew who to make friends with in terms of study groups. And that, I'll tell you, doing that also helped focus my career later on in terms of, hey, not being self-sufficient and knowing enough that I didn't know enough, and that I was able to reach out to connect to other people that knew a lot more stuff than I did, and they were able to teach me. And, you know, and one of the things that I thought about in terms of, you know, well, wait a minute, what should I talk about? Well, you know, you guys made it easy for me, because the title of your organization, the name of your organization, Evolution of Leadership. Okay. You know, if we think about it, you break it, evolution. Evolution is basically, it's change. But when you think about something that's evolving, or, you know, evolution, at least for me, I look at it as something that's gradual. It doesn't happen all at once. Okay. It doesn't, you know, it's something that, you know, is a gradual process. And whatever that process is, that's for each individual to figure out as to how they're going to change, or do they want to change? For me, I'll say in business, certainly, I always say status quo is the most dangerous thing. If you're just staying the same and you're not changing, evolving, hey, keeping up with technology, doing whatever, you're going to be falling behind. You're not going to be status quo anymore. You're going to be left behind. And so to me, evolution, I think, is a great word for your name. And then the other part of it is leadership. What is leadership? Is it leadership of an organization? Is it leadership of people? And at what stage does leadership mean anything? And to who does it mean anything to? And I'll just tell you, and I don't say this to brag, but I was a big brother, okay? And my little brother that I was assigned to, and was part of it was part of the Jewish Big Brothers of America. And, I'll just say, Jonathan was a good kid. We were matched for 8 years. I started with him when he was 10, and the program ends when the match, the little, what I call the little brother, becomes 18. And he was a good kid. I mean, issues, whatever. Hey, I have issues, but whatever. And I can remember him. He ended up enlisting in the Navy. Okay. And he was a kid that he ended up going to, boot camp, training camp or whatever. And I can remember getting the call from him when he finished the boot camp. And he said to me, he said, Alan, he said, at boot camp, he said, I learned in that short period, he said, he learned and he now thought of himself as a leader. And I was so proud of him. Now, with respect to, he was a leader with respect to the other, I'll say, group of recruits or other people that, that were at the boot camp. For that, he was a leader. And what I'm trying to get at, and the point I'm making is, could he be a leader in terms of being the CEO of IBM? No way, not going to happen. So he couldn't be the leader of IBM, but he was very proud of himself and thought very highly of himself that he was a leader at boot camp for these other people. So again, it's part of setting your sights and, taking in what makes you a leader and for what part. And I'm going to tell you, I worked for some very, very large international companies. I wasn't the CEO. I wasn't I didn't have a title. I wasn't an officer of these companies. But yet, at the position I was at within these companies, at certain times, I was a leader. I managed, let's say, a group of 20 plus people. To them, I was I'll say, leader, okay? But if I got in the conference table, okay, and I was, let's say, in front of all these VPs or whatever, I wasn't a leader in their eyes. I wasn't a leader in my eyes at that conference table. But with the work that I was doing and the people that I managed, hey, I was their leader. And what made me their leader? One was the fact that, hey, the position that I had. If you want to call me manager, I was their manager. But there was more than just the title of manager. I knew, and the people that were, I'll say, under my management, okay, they knew that I knew certain things that they didn't. And that in whatever I was doing, I was pretty damn knowledgeable about it. And I was able to basically use that knowledge from an organization standpoint, from a standpoint of, motivation, and also from a standpoint of teaching and learning. So there's, leadership to me has a lot of different qualities. Okay. And I truly don't think it's something that you just learn in the book. And it's not something that's just going to come to you overnight. And there are going to be times when, hey, you're going to be in a leadership position. And there are other times that you're going to be in a follow position. But, regardless of what it is, I think you have to set your sights on, that sometimes it's good not to be the leader, because if you take on too much, okay, then you're going to lose some of that control. You're not going to be or have that great degree of knowledge to pass on to others so that they want to follow you. And also, I also think, you know, there's a personality that comes in to play. It's not just, you know, the education and the knowledge that you have. You have to develop relationships. And I think what makes a very good leader is someone that can develop relationships, and also someone that is smart enough to know, hey, I might make the ultimate decision, but I have advisors around me and I can delegate certain things to other people that then can inform me. You know, and I don't want to get into politics, but I'm just going to say, okay, one of the worst things a leader can do is just surround himself with people that agree with him. And if people don't agree with that particular leader, that leader's going to go ahead and fire him. And I think we've seen that in terms of what's gone on in this country, that it's okay as a leader to have people surrounded or surrounding you who disagree with you. I think that makes a great leader. Is also in terms of quality of leadership. It's not someone that can just, you know, force their opinion or force their, you know, direction on other people. I think a good leader also has to be, for the most part, a good negotiator, and be able to see the other side and know that, you know, there are going to be objections, but know what those objections are and see if, you know, instead of trying to cram something down, in business we call it cram down, but to go ahead and see if you can, you know, negotiate or coordinate things. When I practiced law, okay, and people would come in and, you know, usually they would come to me because there was some type of conflict and maybe some type of disagreement. And I always told all of my clients, especially when they were in a potential conflict or litigation type of thing, and I didn't litigate in the courtroom. I never went to the courthouse, except for jury duty. But to me, I would always say to them, look, you know, and I would ask them, tell me your story. What's your side? Okay. And, you know, and then after they told me their side, I'm going to tell them. I would always tell them, you know what? The way I approach it, there are three sides to every story. I hear what you're saying. I said, I'll eventually find out what the other side is saying, what's there, okay? And then there's the third part, which is maybe what's really true, because we all come to making decisions with our own prejudices and we see things in our own light. And when that happens, like I said, no one is 100% right and no one's 100% wrong. It very rarely happens that way. Okay. And there's something in between. And to me, that's part of leadership, is being able to say, hey, look, we have an issue. We have some type of struggle. How can we get past it? And with leadership, you know, one of the things, you have to be proactive. Like I said earlier, to me, status quo is a very, very dangerous thing. You have to, and the worst thing you can do is when a conflict comes about, to me, as a leader, the worst thing you can do is avoid it or not address it. And, you know, and I'll say for everyone here, and I don't know if anyone has done it, and I'm not saying you should do it or not do it, but in terms of leadership, I think it's important to know who you are, to really look at yourself in the mirror and be able to be vulnerable enough to say, hey, I have leadership qualities, and these are them. And I say, take a piece of paper and write down strengths, okay? And on the other piece of paper, you write down your weaknesses, because we all also have weaknesses. And to me, it's, hey, when you have a strength, confidence and ego, it's great. But if you have a weakness, a lot of times we might avoid it or step away from it. And that to me is the worst thing you can do. To me is you need to address that weakness. You might not like it, and you might not turn that weakness into a strength. but at least you can maybe improve that weakness. But you have to be able to admit and identify that you have certain weaknesses. And if you're a damn good leader, you recognize those weaknesses and you use other people, other systems, whatever, to delegate or to take care of those issues that you might have a weakness at that they're better at. That still makes you the leader, but at least you're doing what's best. A leader should, sometimes, they say, well, a leader, you got to have a strong ego and you have to, be overly confident. You have to be very confident. Okay. Yeah. At the same time, you have to be vulnerable. And I say vulnerable enough to know that you are not capable of making that best decision. So that's, I'll say my, part of my take on, what it is, and just knowing that you can't be the leader all the time. I think if you really can identify those things and work on them, I think it'll make you a much more effective leader. And the other thing is, in terms of, as I said, with respect to leadership, is your direction. Okay. I will tell you that for me, I had no direction in college. I ended up getting into accounting. Okay. But you know what? I wasn't ready for the business world. And I said, hey, what else can I do? And I'm just going to say, I got lucky. I said, okay, I'm going to go to law school. And I did. And, one of the things for me that law school did was not so much learning the law and everything. Here again, to me, that's book knowledge and very different than the real world. But to me, what it opened up was, I'll say, critical thinking and thinking in a broader perspective, to look at things, to step back and look at things. And I will tell you, those people that went to college and then went into the working world and then went to law school, they got so much more out of law school, and they were so much more intelligent than I was, because they had a background in the real world. I went right from college to law school, and to me, it was just the same transition, and I didn't have that experience of business. And now at 69, needless to say, I've had many years of experience in business. And at times, look, I was a partner in a law firm. You want to call that a leader? Yeah, I managed, not, certainly the non-professionals, the non-attorneys. And then, we didn't have a big law firm, but I was one of 3 partners. I had 5 attorneys working for me. Okay. For the most part, I was their leader. But at the same time, I also knew that, hey, there were times they knew a hell of a lot more than I did. And I had no problem delegating. It was the best thing. Okay. And at the same time, I'll say I had other positions where when I gave up the practice of law, I went into business and finance, and I did lending. And I'm going to say that I specialized. One of the things was in the trucking industry. And I did loans for truckers, okay, and truck dealerships. And I'm going to tell you, I had a great relationship with the truckers and the truck dealerships. And part of it, I think, was because I related based on my background. I felt very comfortable with them. They're a different breed, but with them, I was a leader, because I provided some benefits and they listened to me. I'll also say, without bragging too much, I had a certain reputation that, hey, I was a straight up guy. And in that industry, and I'll say with that demographic, it worked. Okay. But, I'll also say, when it came to being a leader in the company at the conference table, I was not a leader. I didn't I didn't feel comfortable in that ocean. These other people, these other officers and VPs and CEOs and all this other stuff. For the most part, I was pretty quiet, and I was taking more in than I was giving in terms of being a leader, and that was okay with me. Um, because one of the things, and when we talk about leadership, and I think I talked about it a little bit in terms of relationships, is networking. To be a good leader, I think you have to have a good network of people around you. And I was always willing to say that at the conference table, I was not the smartest guy sitting at that conference table. But you know what? I was one of the most valuable because I had contacts. I knew who to call or who to deal with to get problems resolved. So in terms of doing that, I didn't have that knowledge, but I developed relationships and it was through networking. And I'll just tell you, my oldest son is 29, and he's out in the working world doing very nicely, and I try to teach him networking. And our youngest son is a sophomore in college. He's clueless about networking. They don't teach that in college. My wife and I have tried to, and he's done certain things and reached out, and it can be scary to do networking. You don't, because it's not something, and maybe things are different. But when I went to college back in the early 70s, okay, networking was never taught. There was never networking 101. Maybe in college, maybe you guys discussed that. But certainly, from a leadership standpoint, I think networking is crucial in terms of, helping you in terms of making decisions. It's just not about, you gaining something. It's also about you giving back and then developing that relationship of trust, of, hey, dependability. So there are certain things, like I said, and, I certainly don't have all the answers, but there are, but I certainly suggest that everyone try to sit down and write down what are your strengths? Is it that you have a good reputation, you're ethical, you're dependable, you look, you speak well, or maybe you don't speak well. For me, public speaking was very difficult. I've always considered it that, and that's why I did no courtroom work. I never litigated. I was a back room, so I was a negotiator, dealer, and, did tax stuff, but I avoided it. And I'm saying when I had to try to give a speech, I had tremendous fear, and I wasn't good at it. I just wasn't. And then over the years, I developed based on experience, whatever, and I feared it less, and I started to face it. And now I think that for the most part, I can feel comfortable getting up in front of people, but it's still something that I don't consider a strength of mine. All right. But it was something that I give myself credit for because I did work on it. And I just say, in terms of being a leader, I think it's important to really be able to look at yourself and say, again, what are the strengths? What are the weaknesses? And work on it. And also, what do you want to be a leader at? And what do you feel comfortable with? How high are you setting your expectations? Look, anyone on this Zoom that wants to be, or has their aspirations to be, CEO of Microsoft, knock yourself out. I give you all the credit in the world. But at the same time, we all need to be, I'll say, realistic in terms of setting our goals, in terms of what we want to be a leader of. So, I'll say, the fact that you folks are even involved in something, in a group about leadership, again, I commend you, because I think it's wonderful. And also, and don't take this wrong when I say it, I think it's great because you're all young and you're doing it at a young age. And to me, I think that puts you far ahead of your contemporaries. I don't see a lot of college kids doing what you're doing. And even though I'll say you're a small group, that's great. That even shows me that, hey, you know, you're taking or you're making a vested interest in what you're doing because somehow you found this group. I don't know what led each of you to this group, okay? But somehow you each wanted to find out something or do something with respect to leadership. And wherever that, and I'll use the word, wherever that leads you, that's great because you're doing it with some knowledge. And I will say that when I made some of my decisions, okay, it wasn't because I did the right research or that I had the right information. Some of my decisions, I just got lucky. Now, that doesn't mean I didn't make wrong decisions, okay? And I wish I did things differently. But that's life. That's the choices, the paths we make. And I'll just say that, when you think about leadership, think about evolution. And when I say evolution, how you guys are each individually going to evolve to accomplish or reach whatever it is you want to reach, whatever you want to accomplish. How are you going to get there? It's not something you're going to read in a book. It just isn't. But, at the same time, don't be passive about it. You've got to do something. And whatever you each think it is, my thought is, hey, you got to first sit down, see who you are, find out for each of you individually, who are you? It's taken me a long time to find out who I am and where I feel comfortable with myself and where I don't feel comfortable with myself. And I'm going to tell you, not just when I was in college, okay? I'm going to tell you, in my 30s, in my early 40s, I didn't have a clue really in terms of direction of really who I was. I never thought about it. Think about it, put thought to it, and see if that doesn't make your direction more focused. And also, you be more content with yourself. It's okay to have weaknesses. To me, and again, without getting into politics, we've got some leaders that think, hey, they can never do any wrong. And whatever they say is the right thing. And that's what's going to happen. And that's the way it is. Life doesn't work that way. Okay. At least not successfully. Okay. So that's it. Look, I'm pretty open to questions. If there's a question, look, I'm not going to lie about it. I've got some skeletons in my closet. You ask a question that's too personal, whatever, I'm going to tell you, hey, you know what? Next question. Okay. So, but for the most part, I'm a pretty open guy. And I'd like your thoughts on, okay, what is it that, maybe you have experienced that you feel will make you a good leader? And also tell me, look, I'm a straight up guy. For the last half hour, whatever I spoke about, maybe it doesn't resonate with you and it doesn't work. That's okay. I'm telling you, it worked for me, but that doesn't mean it has to work for you. And I've listened to other people and I walk away from it and I say, what a bunch of bullshit, excuse my French. Okay. But it doesn't work for me. Okay. We're all different. We're all individuals. We're all different. And there are certain things that'll work, whether it be you, whether it be my, my boys. Okay. Look, when I say boys, when we talk about leadership, a parent, okay, when you have a child, okay, that child certainly looks up at you as a parent, but doesn't understand the concept really of parent. It's more of a leader because they're going to follow whatever you say. They just don't know any better. And at the same time, they trust you that as a parent, you're going to make the right decision. And then unfortunately, they become teenagers and they think you're an idiot. Okay. And they develop their, I'm going to say, their want for independence and their own thought process. And as a parent or quote, as a leader, hey, I've got to change. They've changed. They've evolved from being a child to a teenager. And now I have to evolve as a quote, parent / leader in terms of how I'm going to relate to them. Okay. Just because they disagree with me, okay, does that mean they're right? I'm wrong? Okay. Do I smack them across the head, or do I try to, again, all different approaches. But, you have to evolve. And then, of course, maybe they go off to college, whatever, they graduate from college, and they start their career. Well, they're not going to look at me as a leader anymore. They got it all figured out. So this evolution thing, it's not just with respect to leadership. I think it's with in your daily life and accept things, enjoy things, and be able to, I'll say, accept when you made a mistake. There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I shouldn't say there's nothing wrong. Of course, there's something wrong. No one wants to make a mistake, but realize that whether you're a leader or whatever, mistakes are going to be made. No one is perfect, but it's how you react and how you deal with that mistake in terms of facing it and doing something different rather than showing a fear or a weakness and avoiding it, because that mistake is going to continue on, is going to have, just worse effects. So anyway, that's my talk. Please go ahead, ask me questions. Hey, disagree with me. I'm okay. I'm a pretty tough guy. I can take criticism. Okay. But again, I'm here to try to help you. Okay. And answer questions. So, hey, the Zoom is yours now.
Thank you, Alan. I appreciate that. Right before we get into the questions, I did want to make an announcement. I won't take up too much time, Alan. I know there's gonna be a really good conversations to be made. But Evolution of Leadership is very excited. We're actually going to branch out to the CSUDH campus soon. So if you are interested, if you do go to Dominguez Hills, and you are interested in joining the what will be a club or org on the campus, do hit me up, or anybody who is on our team. We're so super psyched about this. It's gonna be amazing. First campus we'll ever branch off to. So and again, I also want to give thanks to everybody that showed up. You guys are investing into yourselves today. Not everybody even knows the steps to taking the first steps to leadership. So thank you again, and I'll let you guys bring Alan the questions.
All right. Does anybody have a first question? Please do not all come at once.
Don't be afraid. I don't bite. I just bark.
When I heard when I saw actually your promotion and Evolution of Leadership social media page, at first I thought it was gonna be a talk about like money wise, finance and everything. And then because I saw your title is has your name, and then it says reverse mortgages. So I was like assuming oh, his talk is gonna be about finance and everything. But yeah, I just I guess just to start off the conversation, can you give me a little bit more information about what you do? So like, what is reverse mortgages?
Sure. A reverse mortgage, it's a mortgage, but it's a special mortgage. It's only for the senior community. In order to take advantage of it, you have to be 60 years old, 60 years of age or older. And one of the things, and I appreciate you asking about what I do, is in my career, I've always found a niche. I've always specialized in something. And that to me helped me be a leader, because I specialized in something. When I practiced, when I did accounting, I specialized in bank taxation and in estate planning. Okay. When I practiced law, I did tax work. Okay. I didn't do personal injury. I didn't do commercial. I didn't do real estate. I did tax work. Okay. And I specialized in that. Then, as I said, I'll just tell you, then moving my career along, I was a hard money lender. When I say hard money lender, that's what I did with trucking. Okay. And all I did with the dealerships, in fact, I'm going to tell you, I spent 3 out of 5 days in Fontana. That's where all the big truck dealerships are. Okay. And all I wanted was their turndowns. I didn't compete with the bank rates. I didn't compete with middle rates. I really competed with and did loans for truckers that really were not bankable and could not get other loans. And I loved it. I'm going to say, I really helped these people out. I was like the loan of last resort. They couldn't get a loan. They couldn't get that truck. But for me, the dealership knew it. Look, they tried to get them financed and they couldn't. They want the dealership wants to make that sale. They couldn't. The trucker, he wants that truck. He couldn't. I was the guy that came in, and I have to tell you, it made me feel great. I got a lot of, it was very rewarding to me because I moved them on their career. They now had a truck. They were now an owner, etc. So, from that standpoint, again, I recommend a niche. Now, what I do, a reverse mortgage, it's a mortgage. It's a residential lending document. It's supported by the government, and it's just for the senior community. And it helps stay in their house. They don't have to make mortgage payments. There are special things you can do, but it's all for the senior community. And the way I look at it is people are aging more. Okay, so the senior population is growing and is staying alive more, but how are they supporting themselves? They can't. I'm just going to say, I don't mean to be the Dr. Doom, but I do think there's going to be a major crisis in terms of what's going to happen with the senior community, because seniors are not going to be able to basically afford what they're going to need. And they're running out of money. They're living longer. They are living longer than their portfolio or cash reserves. And Social Security is it just won't do it. So the reverse mortgage comes into play to allow those seniors that have equity in their house to access that equity while they're alive. So that's one of the things. And I'll just say, when I thought about what to talk about, I didn't want to talk about my business, because my business really, say, your stage and your careers doesn't relate to you. Okay. I really wanted to talk about my experience and in terms of what it's like to be a leader, and at times what it's like not to be a leader. And I've been fortunate. I've been both. And, I'll always say that with respect to whether it be business, whether it's, it's with respect to happiness, with respect to wealth, if you're content with what you're doing, then you're going to look at yourself as being successful. And if you're not content and you're still striving for that thing, whatever it might be, then, you're just not going to find as much joy or contentment out of what you're doing. And it's more of a continual struggle. And I will tell you, I did feel that way when I practiced law. Okay, that to me, and again, financially, there certainly were benefits. Okay, but at the same time, I kept struggling for more, and I just wasn't content. And over the years, when I stopped practicing law, I got to be a lot more content. Maybe not as rich, okay? Who knows? But I'm not saying I don't want to win the lottery, but I'm a happy guy. I'm content, and that's also part of, when you're a good leader, you've got to show that I'm gonna say that you're not out of control. You're not living in or you're not working or creating chaos. There needs to be some degree of contentment so that you can pass that on to everyone else that's working under you or that's working for you, so that the environment that you create is a positive one. If a leader is involved in chaos and running around and making decisions, then changing decisions, and there's constant change, that it's just not a good a good way to be a leader. So anyway, that's the way I look at things. And look, if you want to know more about reverse mortgage, hey, I'm a phone call away. I love talking about what I do. I find it very rewarding in terms of what I do. And at the end of the day, I really do help a lot of seniors to live a much better lifestyle than they would have been able to live without using what I sell or what I do. So.
Oh, thank you for your consideration. Thank you for your consideration of us as students. I feel like you gave us your personal advice. And you went beyond. Thank you again.
Well, I appreciate it. And look, you guys have my phone number. You got my LinkedIn or whatever. If you have questions, don't be afraid. Hey, worst case scenario is I let it go into voicemail. But I'm a pretty open guy, and if things you want to touch base with after this Zoom is over, hey, I'm there. I have to tell you, I've really enjoyed the opportunity to speak to you guys. It's been, for me, rewarding. I feel good about it, and I'm not getting into the big thing about giving back or whatever, but I think it's great that, to see people that, hey, are trying to do something to become leaders. And however you learn about it, whatever you do, again, I commend you, because hopefully, well, not hopefully, I just know you're on a better track than I ever was in college. And so when I compare you guys to where I was at your age, I'm impressed with everybody here, that you're taking the time and effort to do what you did. I playing ball, what can I tell you? But again, more questions, and I don't know, you guys end it when you want to end it, but whenever it ends, certainly feel free to contact me and use me as a resource. Go ahead and network.
Yeah, awesome. I had a short question, because I don't want to spend too much time myself. I love that you were talking about networking and how colleges do not teach that. Very, very true. Still is a reality to this day. Which is the reason why we also get into it on our own. So I had questions, because you have a business experience in that regard. Are there any tips or tricks that you have personally used for networking? And if so, what were those?
Okay. First of all, when I network, okay, one of the things that I look at is, once I determine that this is someone I want to network with, okay, because I don't want to network with everybody. I don't have time for it, okay? So when I determine that there's someone that I want to network with, the very first thing that I do is I think of, how can I help them? What can I do for them? I want them to owe me. I want them to say, you know what, that guy, Alan, he's a good guy. I had an issue, he helped me out, and he asked for nothing in return. But down the road, I might ask for something. Hey, this guy, introduce me. Alan, for sure. I was in a tough bind. You helped me. You gave me your time. So when you're networking, don't expect to get something back. If you look at it as if, what is it I can give? Don't worry, you will get back. And you will get back more than you gave. I'll tell you, I'm in some networking groups that, hey, 7:15 in the morning. And now, of course, with COVID, we just do Zooms. Okay. But I network with other professionals. And I'll just say for me, those that I network from a pure business standpoint, I deal with a lot of attorneys, financial planners, CPAs, bankers, and that's who I go to network with. Okay. And when they have someone that's a senior client of theirs maybe they need the reverse mortgage, they're going to think of me. And I've done other things. And the other thing that I love to do, and I did this when I practiced law, and I love to do it now, is when I practice, I used to have my clients do business with each other. I would get business for my clients. Because when I would get business for my clients, okay, they never hesitated to paying my bill because I made them money. Okay, I got them new business. Okay, so that's how I network with my own clients from a standpoint of, hey, I wanted my bills to be paid. When I sent them a bill for legal services, I didn't want to have to come after them. And usually, I'm going to say, I was very fortunate. I didn't have a problem with bad debts or whatever. They were paying my bills because, hey, so what if we pay Alan X? He made us X plus. Let's keep it alive. So from that standpoint, but also with networking is, hey, I know a banker. Hey, I love to get him a client. I get nothing out of it. Okay, I'm not going to get a commission. And just, in my business, it's unethical. Okay, I'm not allowed to give commissions. I'm not allowed to accept commissions. Okay, for, doing business would say, hey, give me business and I do the loan and I'll give you X amount. I'm not going to do it. I'll say, I'm not going to put my license in jeopardy. Okay, just to get a commission or something like that. But I'm just saying that to me is what networking is about, is figuring out how you can help someone else. And then you get back. And I'm just going to say, just a quick example. It wasn't even I gave someone business. Okay. I have someone that does all my LinkedIn stuff. Okay. I'm not good at it. I delegate it. And, there was this particular realtor. Okay. He mentioned something about LinkedIn. I said, Mike, I got this guy. I said, he does everything for me, cheap as could be. Well, Mike is calling the LinkedIn guy next week. Hopefully something happens and I helped out Mike. Okay. He'll remember me. He knows me. Okay. That's what networking is about. Short question, but with me, you're always going to get a long answer. I got a big mouth, and
I have a question. I just became a licensed loan officer, and I was wondering, with COVID going on, and you mentioned networking on LinkedIn and everything like that, which is really what I didn't think about. What are some of the steps as a new LO that I can take to further my connections with real estate agents, CPAs, financial advisors? Do you have any suggestions?
Sure. Okay. Is one, okay, in terms of organizations, whether it be lending organizations, real estate organizations, get involved, become a member of that organization. And I'm going to say, a lot of organizations, they love bringing in youth. Okay. A lot of networking organizations and a lot of industry organizations. Okay. I'm just going to say they have no hairs and blue hairs. In other words, old people. They want youth. They want to go ahead and help that younger generation to become leaders. Get involved, but get on a committee, but get your name somewhere out there or get your face out there. And so I'll say, with respect to once COVID is over and we get back into actual face-to-face meetings, that'll be great. Until then, I'm going to say do the Zoom meetings. From a standpoint of LinkedIn, go on to LinkedIn, and let's say you want to deal with financial advisors. You can go into LinkedIn and do a search for financial advisors that, LA County. You're going to get a tremendous amount. I'm just going to tell you my LinkedIn, and again, I don't do it. I have other people. I have a vendor that does all my stuff. I have thousands of contacts and connections. Okay, I don't have the time to connect with all of them, but those that I can, like I said, the list is there. It's just now, how do I want to utilize my time to connect with them? And the easiest way, especially on LinkedIn, is just say, hey, I saw your profile on LinkedIn. This is what I do. You know what? You got a couple of minutes? Can I give you a phone call? Something as simple as that. That's what my vendor does. I don't send out the LinkedIn messages. They do, the organization that I pay. Okay. They send out those messages, and they find that my contacts or my connections that I should be connected. I tell them who I want to connect with. So I tell them I want to connect with financial planners that are in, 20 miles within zip code 91607. And here comes this list. And then they send out the email. I never send out the email. They send out the email the LinkedIn message for me with my name and my phone number on it. And then, you know what? I get a response. Do I get a response from everyone? Of course not. But those that respond to me, well, okay, they've shown some interest in me. They got to be, I'm going to say, not stupid, but a waste of time if they don't look at my profile. And if they look at my profile and then they call me, well, there's some reason they're calling me. Either they want to network with me for some reason. That's how you do it. But again, getting back to, that's something I'm going to delegate. I'm not a tech guy, and I'm too slow on the computer. Okay, let someone else do my LinkedIn stuff. I work on my other stuff, and that's how I get my contacts. But you got to be, I'll say, a little bit aggressive in terms of getting involved and doing the network. Go out to those organizations. And look, some organizations charge a lot of money to become a member. Just say you want to be a guest. They love it. They love it. Okay? And I'm not saying you have to spend a lot of money to get involved in groups. And it can get very expensive. So you want to you want to make sure if you are going to join a group, you get a good bang for your buck. And your time. Time is pretty valuable these days, and we don't have a lot of it. So make use of it. But by all means, start networking as soon as you can. And the other thing is, if you do get involved with networking or you get a response, respond quickly, promptly. Okay? And don't put it on the back burner. And it's not going to be easy. I got to tell you, it takes time to develop that. And I see, our oldest son, hey, he wasn't good at it at first, but now I see he does pretty damn good. I'm proud of him. Our younger one that's still in college, he hasn't gotten it yet. He'll say, oh, I'll do it later. I'll do it tomorrow. Or, nah, I'm not going to contact. Okay. But I think what you just said, and just bringing up the question, that's showing focus, that's showing commitment, and follow through on it.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Alan. We have 1 more minute left. So if anyone has one last question or comment they want to give to Alan, then we'll head out.
I have a question.
Sure.
Well, actually, it's like it's 2 in 1, if that makes sense.
I'll charge you twice. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, first of all, I I want to thank you so much for talking and sharing everything of your life, of how you became who you are and stuff. And it's pretty cool of what you do, honestly, and how passionate you are of what you do.
Thank
I've
you.
never seen so much passion for like a job, you know. But my question is, who or what was your inspiration?
Okay. You know, it's a good question. And I'm going to say it was probably my mother. Growing up, she was a secretary and bookkeeper her whole life. Um, and late in life, uh, my parents moved from the Bronx, California. And somehow, through whatever, my mother, she came out here and she had to get a job, and she was a secretary and bookkeeper. But she ended up being a secretary and bookkeeper for a guy that was in that was a pub he was in public relations, and he dealt with a lot of Hollywood people. And my mom, I'm just going to say, being a regular working mom, she got involved with a lot of Hollywood people, and she evolved. Okay, she truly evolved. She was never a leader, and I don't mean to denigrate or be disrespectful to anyone that wants to be a secretary or a bookkeeper, but that's what she was. For the same firm for 20 years, a small firm, she had no leadership, or management or decision making. Okay, and then late in life, and I'm talking about in her 50s. Okay, she got involved with people, even though she was originally a secretary and bookkeeper. And I'm just going to tell you, she became very popular, and um, I just thought it was great. And she evolved. I can throw out some names. Maybe you've heard of them, like Alice Cooper and Joan Rivers and whatever. They, my mother was not just touching base with them, but truly became friends. And she came from a very limited background, but she was also able to become a leader in her own way. So to answer your question, that's I never thought of it that way, but you just helped me focus that and come up with that. So thank you very much. Okay.
The reason why I ask
I
you
say
that
my
is
inspiration is.
That's awesome.
the reason why I ask you that is because I identify with you, and honestly, I was sort of like you. Well, I grew up sort of like you in the fact that I grew up in a city that has been called like miserable, all kinds of bad stuff. But honestly, like it's beautiful where someone grows and evolves and becomes into a person that no one knew was for sure going to come out of that person.
No, you're right. I mean, I'm just going to say, I played ball in the streets. I was as happy as could be, and then I had to get into the business world. I wasn't ready for it. I just wasn't. But that's the way it is. And I'm just going to say, looking back, hey, I love my childhood. People say, oh, you lived in the Bronx. We had no parks. When I went to play baseball, I mean, true baseball, I had to take the train. But you know what? I don't complain about it. I'm thrilled. I had a happy childhood from that standpoint, and of course, being able to look back and say that it did affect a lot of who I am and how I got along in life. And so I'm happy. I didn't live in a house, and I'm just gonna say when I went to college, that was a true eye opener. These people own houses, and I was, I just wasn't in that league, but things turned out okay for me. And I got over whatever I'll say fears, weaknesses, or, feelings of, and again, without getting into it, of inadequacy that, wait a minute, these people were so much better than I was. Nonsense. They might have had more material things, but you know what? I look back at it and I said, without making judgments, you know what? I ended up being better than them. And when I say them, I don't mean to denigrate, those that lived a certain lifestyle, but it was just different. It's what you make of it and how you're going to do it. What is the path? But have a path. It's one thing to say, I want to be a leader, but how the hell are you going to get there? And what is it you want to be a leader of? What is going to make you content? And again, some of you on this Zoom, you won't be content unless you're the CEO of Microsoft. Okay, that's fine. Okay, but there are others that can be very content being a leader where, hey, you know what? I'm a leader of myself, or I'm just a leader of one person, 2 people, 20 people, 50 people, whatever it is. So that's, to each his own. You guys got to figure out on your own what you want to do and how you're going to accomplish that. That to me is what things are. But again, all I'll say is the title of your organization really, when I looked at it, that really clued me into what it's all about: evolution, leadership. But it's change. Accept that change. Work at that change. Develop that change. Be proactive, not reactive. So anyway, that's, I know it's, after 8, I know you guys got to go to sleep so you can, with all the hard work you're doing at school and everything. And but again, and I truly mean this, okay? Don't be afraid to stay in touch. Worst can happen is I don't respond to you, but hopefully that won't happen. Okay?
Yes, Alan.
And if you have questions afterward, like I said, I let you guys go ahead, and you know how to contact me. Okay? You want to send me questions? Send me questions. Okay? But go out there, and don't fear everything. It's okay not to know. All right, and I'll just say, because I know for me, when I was in college, I was scared because I didn't know. I felt lost. But it's okay to feel lost, because sometimes when you're feeling lost, and you are lost, boy, it's a great feeling when you find your way. I got to tell you, it's like, I've been saved. I found my way. So look, I hope everyone had a good turkey. I wish everyone a very, very happy and healthy new year. Hopefully 2021 will be good for everybody, and it will continue to be so. So that's it.
Yes, thank you, Alan. Thank you, everyone from the call. You have a wonderful night, Alan, and good night, everyone.
Good night, guys.
Good night, and again, thank you for this opportunity. Be good.
One of the day.
Thank you.
We have to say bye-bye. Thank you so much, everyone. We fully appreciate it. Alan, you're amazing. Thank you so much for bringing this value to us.
Thank you, Jackie.
I hope so.
Leaders.
I hope so.
Great night, everybody.
Bye.
Let's
good.
get it. Let's go.